you'll actually start to see the colonies kind of grow together where the moisture was. It's a very interesting effect. Also, for best practice, use those correct growth conditions that we covered. You also want to make sure that your pipettes are delivering the correct volume, making sure to periodically verify them. You never know, someone might have dropped the pipette a little too rough in a drawer, and now it's not quite delivering 100 microliters like you thought. Just always good to check that. And then you want to make sure to do more than one replicate, test in duplicate or even in triplicate, just to make sure that you have data to give the right picture. And then always make sure that there's a negative control when you're doing the test. So it looks like. Go to the next slide. Just keep talking more about best practices. And this is for the pour plate method. You want to make sure that when you do this method that you keep the melted medium for your pour plates at less than 50 degrees Celsius. Lots of different sources tell you that between 44 degrees Celsius to 46 is best. You also want to make sure that when you're incubating those pour plates that you give the organisms the sufficient time to grow. Just because when you actually have that, the microorganisms are sitting within the agar instead of on top, which is where if you get something that's more aerobic, it could take it a little bit longer because it's waiting so much longer to get the air that it needs. So it can take a little longer. So I typically say give it an extra, 18 to 24 hours to really see all of the colonies that are embedded within the agar. And then the next thing is to make sure to use a backlit colony counter because it's much easier to see some of those colonies that are small anyway on the spread plate or on the spread surface. They're going to be even smaller when they're buried within that agar. An example of that's Candida albicans. And then I'll let Delene take over unless you want me to keep going.
Well, what do we got?
Next, we got
my consultation lab.
Sure. I'll finish. We're going to the next slide here. This is effects of overheating. So either overheating the agar or even for too long or just in general. In this example, you can see there's two plates with the same suspension of E. coli. And the medium on the left, where you can see the growth, was poured at 45 degrees Celsius. So the agar was melted and allowed to cool to the correct temperature. And then the medium on the right, or the plate, was poured with media that was too warm at 56 degrees Celsius. Incubated for 48 hours. They said give it that extra 24. And you can see that the medium on the right, there's no growth because the agar was too warm. It essentially killed all the microorganisms that you had inoculated into that plate. So it is very, very important to make sure the agar has cooled to the correct temperature before pouring it and adding microorganisms. And then the next slide, and the last, is it the last slide?
Last slide.
Last slide is just a few little takeaways from the presentation. Just want to make sure, to reiterate or to repeat that the purpose of the growth promotion test is to ensure that the medium used to test your products can recover small numbers of bacteria or microorganisms. You always want to make sure, testing in parallel is going to eliminate all of your variables, leaving the one true variable you're testing, the media, and then making sure to use those best practices to make sure that you're consistently getting accurate and good results.
Okay, are there any questions on growth promotion testing? I can't. Mario, are you going out in the audience with a question? Oh, I didn't know if there was or not. No questions?
Não cresceu.
Okay. And then after that, if there's more questions, I have to answer a question from the story. And then the question, and then they have another participation. Okay. This is a
Pode falar aí de novo para tentar transformar para o inglês isso. Eu não sou técnico, tá, gente? Só para ficar claro. So, Jeline, we have here an issue regarding the growth of Bacillus subtilis on DE neutralizing growth. Do you have suggestions for that?
Okay. Did you get it?
Mario, can you repeat that one more time, please?
Okay.
There.
So, the customer is having some issues with the growth of the Bacillus subtilis on the DE neutralizing growth. Do you have suggestion about that?
When they're growing it on the DE neutralizing broth, what kind do they also do, like a soybean casein digest agar in parallel, like a non-selective agar without a neutralizer?
Yes. She's doing that.
Are the counts acceptable on the tryptic soy agar? They're just not as good on the DE neutralizing agar?
On TSA is okay, the counts, but
okay.
DE is not good. Yeah,
the DE
having no growth.
No growth. It could be the neutralizer that's in because the DE agar is a neutralizer, has properties in it that's going to help with their actual product that they're testing to neutralize any inhibitory properties for bacteria. But sometimes it has the reverse effect, where it actually inhibits the bacterial growth itself, which is why you do those control groups to make sure that with like the agar, the TSA agar, when you have the good recovery on there, that kind of tells me that the bacillus might be a little bit more susceptible to the neutralizer that's in that DE agar.
No caldo.
An investigation or I don't know what seems yeah. There's other personality. Yeah. And I'm just going to tell them you have a comment when they're done about this, right? About this DER. Yeah, I agree. They don't have the same person. Yeah, it's talking. Yeah, I can see they can look for it. It must be if they have a resolution.
Na verdade, acho que a gente nunca teve esse tipo de problema. Às vezes, assim, atrasa a liberação de um produto. Às vezes, cadê a importação? Está tudo acervo, porque lá já bloqueio, não mandam. Eles não liberam o meu certificado. Então, assim, já podia acontecer problema que já aconteceu, mas, assim, coisa muito pontual mesmo.
A gente, ano passado, a Adri não estava, a gente teve um problema de recuperação com uma Conk, que a gente até compartilhou com a Letícia, e a princípio a gente achava que era cepa, só que assim, a recuperação no TSA como controle positivo sempre caía na escala de 10 a 100, só que não turvava numa Conk. Então assim, a gente falou, então o problema realmente não é a cepa, é o meio. E a gente fez vários testes paralelos com o meio da marca A, depois a gente já adquiriu com a marca B, e era nítido a turbidez no B, que a gente adquiriu novo, e no A não. Então era bom você ver a recuperação no agar, para ver se ela cai na que a gente...
Okay. Here we go, Kaylee. Hi.
Hi. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hi. And you talked about the factor 2 criteria that is acceptable for growth promotion. And in the second moment, you showed the results that you compared the different brands in growth promotion that seems to be affected by the brand. Mm-hmm. And in terms of microbiological results, how much it is valid to compare this kind of results? Because in my opinion, they haven't differed so much.
It sounds like statistically it doesn't look that different. Is kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, I know. We didn't do a large statistical analysis, so we cannot say it's statistically different. But I know that sometimes I work in technical support. I do get customers who all of a sudden when they see a count of 10 would really rather see that count of 50. So it's just kind of to show that to definitely take in consideration the brand of media that you have is one of those factors that could be playing into the low recovery you're seeing, because you also want to make sure that the brand of media that you are using is going to detect that low number of bacteria and detect it all, because you want it to show that it's getting the most out of the product and that it is suitable. So you'd want to make sure to have the more robust media. Does that answer your question? Okay. Thank you.
Mais alguém? Vamos falar da continuidade, então. Okay, Dean, no more questions from you. You can move forward with the presentation. Or we are going to the hands-on now.
Okay, well, first, I would like to answer that question from this morning about if a customer sends us an isolate and there's mixed strains in it. And I talked with our customs manager, and she said, yes, we can receive that in, and if the customer wants us to separate the different isolates, she can do that. Or if the customer is looking for a packaging of where we would separate the isolates, and we would lyophilize them, but then mix them, we can do that as well. So yes, we can accept an isolate that has a mixed culture in it.
Okay. Thank you, Deline.
You're welcome. Okay, so Stanley has a question. All right, Keely.
So, Mr. Stanley here, he would like to ask you, when you are doing growth promotion testing, what is the maximum number of CFU you can put on an agar plate?
Levanta a mão para 100.
The answer was, you say 100?
Yes.
That is correct. Yay!
So another Stanley coming to Brazil.
Porque só o pessoal aqui na frente está falando.
This one doesn't take too long. Oops. Okay, so now we're going to talk about manual methods versus prepared quantitative methods. And also to end, we're going to introduce you to a new program that Microbiologics has developed. So, all right. Oh, I'm sorry, Mario. Yes. It will be the manual methods to prepared quantitative methods. And I believe on the subject, that one says Brazil. Uh, 227, yeah. Thanks, Kaylee. Okay. Okay, so the first slide, Mario, will say manual methods for creating suspensions. Okay? All right, so during this PowerPoint, we're going to show all the steps involved that our customers go through when they do manual methods to create their own suspensions. So the next slide, you'll see a picture of the incubator and the plate. And then we go to the next slide. So step 2 is to make a 0.5 ml McFarland suspension. Step 3, calibrate the turbidimeter. The next slide is going to swab the colonies into the tube. I can't read. So they're going to take the colonies out and swab them into the tube, into the standard. Then they're going to take the measurements on the turbidimeter. And then after they've gone through that, if the concentration of the recovery is too low, the next slide, they're going to add more colonies to the McFarland. Take another measurement. Now, if the concentration's too high, then the next slide is they're going to add more liquid. And the next slide is take another measurement. And the lab techs will have to repeat this process as needed to achieve the correct measurement of 10 to the 8th. So once they get that process, now they can begin with the serial dilution. So on the next slide, the tubes are all lined up with 6, was it 9 ml? Yes, 6 9 ml tubes. Okay, and then it's going to be taking a 0.5 McFarland out of one tube, going into the next, and then they will have to vortex it, and then do the same dilution steps down until they get to 10 to the second, and vortexing in between each step. And then we go on to the next slide, which is step number 4, and that is waiting overnight to count the colonies on the plate. So once the lab tech is done, they're going to go home for the evening. Next slide, wait for about 24 hours. Then they're going to come and count the colonies. Now, if there's too many colonies present, they have to do this process all over. And the next slide, they look like this in the laboratory. So that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. So an option is our AccuShot. So on slide number 25, we'll show you there's 3 easy steps with our AccuShot. And again, Kaylee and I will demonstrate this when we're done. So the customer will take the quick dissolve pellet, put it into the hydration fluid. Then the next slide is they'll vortex it for a few seconds. Then on the next slide, they will plate out the 0.5 ml suspension onto their plate. Okay, next slide. They put in the incubator, read the results the next day, and they're done. So for manual methods, and now we're on the slide that goes through all the steps, or the easy AccuShot, which is concentrated down to 3 very simple steps. So, are there any questions on the process? Again, we'll do a hands-on demonstration of the AccuShot, but when you see the manual methods to do your own serial dilutions, are there any questions or any of you thinking, oh yes, I'm going to start buying the AccuShot now because it's going to be easier? A show of hands, everybody. So now we understand that customers do face the situation of they have their own test method, they have their own products that they're using, and they might say, you know what, yes, I would like to try a new product. I would like to put a new product into our whole test method, but I don't want to do the whole validation. We understand that doing the verification, validation for a new product can be very expensive, and it takes a lot of time. And I know people in the labs they don't even want to think about that because you are so busy anyway. So we have developed and have come up with a new program that's called a verification guide. And so Maria, I don't know I'm on slide number 25. So laboratories from our experience, well, on this one, it's actually the first bullet point will say laboratories complain that it is difficult. Yep, I'm sorry, it segued into this. So again, we hear it many times that laboratories do have the concern that to start using a new control for growth promotion testing it is too difficult, it's too time consuming. And then auditors that come into the lab, they expect the laboratories to verify the new product and the new test procedures perform with the new product. And of course, this requires a lot of materials, time, labor, and a lot of expenses. So on the next slide, first-time users of the Easy AccuShot Our customers who honestly have told us, you know what, we're tired of preparing the suspensions. We just don't have the time to do it anymore. Or we have customers that are using maybe our competitor's product and they want to switch over to our AccuShot. So on the next slide, with our verification program, and I think I'm missing a slide here. I am missing a slide. So what this consists of, it is an Easy AccuShot kit that comes with 3 individually packaged Easy AccuShot pellets from 3 different lots of the top 5 USP compendial strains. So again, it's a kit with 5 different strains, 3 pellets per strain, and each pellet is a different lot. And with that, we also have provided a full guide, a manual that helps the customers go through the process step by step to document their test results, to document the media, to document the test method they're using. And we have actually had this program has only been validated and approved for the Easy AccuShot at this time. And of course, we do have a team of technical support people that can help out, whether it's Plast Labor comes into the laboratory to help assist, or even Microbiologics, along with Plast Labor, can come down and help assist. Now, we cannot do the actual testing for the labs, of course, but with this kit and with this verification guide, that really eliminates a lot of time, labor, and expense for laboratories that are wanting to do wanting to implement a verification for a new test method, or to switch over to the Easy AccuShot. So, are there any questions on this verification program? Okay, good.
Something you have to make.
What's the shelf life of the test?
But generally, with all of our products, the shelf life is going to be, on average, is probably about 12 to 15 months. And we can sell down to an 8-month expiration date, but we do make exceptions, especially in Brazil, due to the fact that it takes so much time for our products to be imported into the country. So we try to keep a minimum of at least 10 months for our customers in Brazil.
Ok, Diline, thank you. Obrigado pela pergunta. Mais alguma pergunta? Sobre esse teste? Ok, Diline.
Okay.
Do you have one?
Oh, I still have that. I can answer what the acceptance criteria was.
Okay. Well, okay, so Stanley does have another question. Okay. And Kaylee's going to help Stanley ask it.
Stanley likes it when I help him out. He has one more question. We're going to go back to growth promotion testing, and he wants to know, what is the acceptance criteria for growth promotion testing for microbial enumeration tests?
Factor of 2.
You got it! Yay!
Parabéns.
Okay, well, I guess this does wrap up the presentation part. So now Kaylee is actually going to demonstrate the AccuShot really quick.
Sure thing.
Okay, Kaylee?
The easiest way to do it.
All right, so I'm going to get rid of this. See if I can get Mario full screen here. Okay.
Are we demo this? All right. So, to use the Easy AccuShot, you first want to get your kit out from the refrigerator. And you are going to want to grab one foil pouch, and here's your pellet, as well as one vial of hydration fluid.
And do you want to point out the change we just made, Kaylee?
Oh, yeah. We did make a change for people who have used this before. The caps now have the stopper is actually fixed into the cap. So when you open it, it all comes off at once instead of being two separate parts with just a stopper and a cap. So these work really slick now. So in case you notice a change. So then to proceed with this, you're going to want to also make sure you've got your auger plates. Probably want a pipette and some spreaders, as well as a pipette. So to use this, you just need to open the foil pouch, and also have gloves too. This is a blank. And here, this is what the vial looks like. So all you'll need to do is open the cap of the pellet vial, open the lid for the hydration fluid. But I'm going to turn it this way so you can see it. You just add one pellet into there. And what you can see is it's already kind of starting to dissolve right at the top. Put the lid on. I don't have a vortex mixer with me today, but you would vortex, vortex, vortex. So I can shake this one. And you'll it'll turn into kind of a cloudier suspension. Once the pellet is completely dissolved, you'll then want to take your pipette with a, is it okay if I do?
Yeah,
okay. That's right. You might not be able to see everything here, but I've got my pipette tips here. Lots of supplies here today. This, grab a fresh tip. Want to make sure to pipette straight up and down. Pull out 100 microliters. And then like we talked about, make sure to use the correct pipetting techniques to go plate straight up and down and slowly dispense the suspension. Make sure to completely get it all there. And then you'll just need to grab, I like to use these T-shaped spreaders. You can use the hockey sticks, an L-shaped one, whatever works best for you. And you just want to make sure to spread that around evenly. So nice, slow circular motions. Avoid the edge of the plate. Sometimes there are colonies, or you could pick up a contamination from the plate, so avoid the edge. Then once it's been spread out evenly, make sure it's soaked in, put the lid on it, upside down, and put it into the incubator at the temperature that the USP requires for that organism. So after about 24 hours or so, you're going to end up with a colony that looks, these are just pictures. You end up with a plate that looks something like this. You have less than 100 colonies on there, and they're easy to count. And you just want to make sure that the new or the auger you're trying to growth promote, that those counts fall within a factor of 2 of your previously approved media. So you'll want to be testing both side by side. Inoculate each plate of auger with that 100 microliters of the AccuShot suspension. And that's it.
And then, Kaylee, what do we do with the hydration or the suspension when you're not using it?
When you're not using this one, you should either place it. If you plan on using it for up to 8 hours, you want to place this back into the refrigerator immediately or as soon as possible. If you do use it within 8 hours, or you plan to use it for that 8 hours, keep it in the refrigerator. When you're ready to use it, you can take it right out and vortex, make sure to mix, and then go right out of here. It does not need to warm to room temperature because the suspension can still be cold during that 8-hour period. Otherwise, when you're not using it, after you've plated maybe 2 or 3, I would actually take this and vortex one more time just to make sure the suspension is still homogeneous. Otherwise, when you're done, dispose of this in a proper biosafety container.
Easy. Easy. Any questions on that, on the Easy AccuShot? That's my favorite product. It is. It is. No. So we will expect an order from everybody by next week, or at least one AccuShot, right? So, again, I apologize. I was unable to make it because it is better to be able to be there in person. It makes it more personal. And I do thank Plast Labor so much for their last minute being able to work around the unfortunateness of me not being able to make it there. And I do hope that everyone there really appreciates our respect for Plast Labor and the work that they have done on behalf of Microbiologics. And like I said this morning, we are very honored and very humbled to have Plast Labor as our representative in Brazil, and they really make us proud every day. And please have a lot of trust and faith into this wonderful company because they care, and that's one of the keys that we look for in a distributor. And they also want to help make the world a safer and healthier place. So I give a big round of applause to Plast Labor. So thank you. And then, of course, Stanley has one more question. And I asked this morning, and he'll ask it again. So where are you going to get your microbiologics products from? Okay. And I just want to thank all of you for taking your time to participate in this event. And anytime you have questions, concerns, need advice, you might, we learn a lot from our customers. And if you have new test methods, or you have new equipment you're using, or there's new trends coming up, please share it so we can work with Plast Labor and with you to make sure we have the right products to suit what you need to get your job done and to make your life easier. So I thank you all very, very much.